After 27 years in real estate, I've found that there are 7 simple steps to getting more listings. I'm going to share it with you today. All right, I've said this in the past. In reality, if you're working primarily with buyers, you're a real estate salesperson. But the second that you shift your business, shift your focus, and then your business follows, and all of a sudden now you're doing over half of the transactions that you have with owners or homeowners on the listing side, now you've built yourself a real estate business instead of you just being a real estate salesperson. So as I began to study this, I wanted to look and see what's happened in the past, what's worked really recently, what is it that's happened in the last few years as the market's been a little bit different, and what is it that's happened over my career that I've seen consistently that helps agents build and generate listings. So what I want to do is I want to kind of break these down in very basic steps. The first step is simply this: you have to have a database full of current homeowners. And what I mean by this is who is it that you know that owns a home? It could be a past buyer. It could be your next door neighbor. It could be friends. It could be family. It could be anyone that you know that you've met in a farm or an open house that owns a home. And what we do is we begin to build this database of all of these homeowners. We begin to compound what we can do. The more homeowners we have in our database and that we have accurate information about, the better we can serve those folks and that we can be top of mind when the time comes for them to sell their home. So it all starts with building your database. Build that database with as many details as possible. Build it talking about what their job is, understanding when they bought the home, how long they've owned the home, understanding which neighborhood they're in, what's the typical turnover rate in that neighborhood, what's the things going on in their life that might lead to them downsizing or needing more. Maybe they just recently got married, or they got pregnant, or they've got a child that's leaving for college and they're thinking about downsizing. What is it that's in their life that makes them do that? The more detailed that information is in the database full of those homeowners, the better off you're going to be to go to these next steps. The remainder of our steps are going to be adding value to this database of these homeowners. Now, I have to say, you don't just make this and just have this to happen one time where you've built this list. You want to continuously be adding people into that database. But once you have, now we start consistently adding value to them. The first thing that we need to do is to make sure that every single one of them is receiving emails about properties coming on the market, going under contract, or that have closed that are like their home. These are the homes that are going to affect their values. We begin to give them that information because it keeps them understanding exactly what's happening right now. It also gives us the ability that when the time comes, we'll see that activity level begin to pick up for them. Information is power. So why are we not out there giving this information freely to every single person we know that owns a home? It is literally takes a few minutes to set this up, and it's one of these, what's the old Ronco saying? Set it and forget it. Once you get them on this drip campaign where they're receiving this information consistently, you're going to have information going out to them so that when the time comes, they're going to think of you and you're going to be top of mind. Number 3 is to your overall database, but specifically to your homeowners that you have in your database. We want to have at least monthly newsletter going out. Now, this is a newsletter that's going to talk about the trends that are happening in the market. It's going to talk about what's going on in the area. It's going to give some general information. And again, this is just another touch to make sure that they realize that you're actively involved in the marketplace. So when we've got them in there, we've got them where they're receiving these. Oftentimes this could be weekly, it could be daily, where they're receiving property updates as they come on the market. Then we're going to have a monthly newsletter that's going out to them that's going to give them an update on the overall market. Plus it's another touch where we continue to stay top of mind. Number 4 is to use and leverage a tool that I love, which is Homebot. Homebot is basically a personalized information about their home. Think of it this way. Homebot sends a detailed report via email each month based on 100 different data points that they pull on exactly where their value is. Now, it's not perfect, but in reality, we won't want it to be perfect. We want them to reach out back to us to see if it's correct. But here's what I love about Homebot. Think of it this way. When you receive your update on your statements from Merrill Lynch or whoever your brokerage account is, it's very detailed. It talks about what your cost basis is in the asset. It talks about what your equity currently is in the asset. It talks about what some of the tax consequences might be. It talks about what you could do with the equity that you have. Same way with Homebot. What it does is it literally goes in and does the most detailed report I've ever seen on that asset, their home. It talks about what their purchase price was and what their equity is now based on the estimated value they did. It gives them the ability to make some adjustments where it prompts them that says, if you've done any remodeling, you can add value here. It gives them the ability to adjust things. It also talks about the fact that, hey, you bought here. If you refinanced now, Your monthly savings on a 30-year mortgage would be X. If you refinance to a 15-year mortgage, you could pay it off sooner, and this is what your payments would be. It gives them a full detail. It also talks about the fact you've got this amount of equity. What could you do with that? What is your purchasing power with that equity to go out and buy another property? It really gives them a detailed breakdown. One of the things that's great about this is that it's over 70% open rates on these emails that are going out. So it has a high impact, and it also turns out it makes you look very professional because it gives more detailed information than anything I've ever seen. This is something that costs, somewhere in the neighborhood of around $300, $350 a year, and you can put 300 or 400 different homeowners in this process. It also lets you know how many times they open it, if they make an adjustment, if they calculate a mortgage, whatever they do on there, it cues you to let you know that they're actively involved on that. So if you're looking for a way to have a high impact with a low cost on potential sellers, Homebot's the way to go. The fifth step is consistent, unsolicited video CMAs. I say this all the time, but listen, not a lot of people are doing this. It's where we would record our screen, we would go through the comparable sales that have happened recently, and we give them an updated valuation of the range of their value. It's very personalized. Some teachers out there, I know Tom Ferry's been really pushing people to send 10 CMAs out to past buyers now a day. I would encourage you. Consistency is important here. Making sure that it's personalized is important here. It makes you stand out. So what I suggest you do is that on a 6-month basis, every 6 months, you have it in your to-dos that you're going to send them an updated idea of exactly where their value is. It's very personalized. It shows them the most recent sales, what they would be competing with, gives them a range. We're going to have it also where it will give them an estimated seller net sheet. I have that pulled up. And then I just talk to them about what this could be. I don't ask them for the listing. I just tell them this is a great place where you can see at this point in time, if you want to come back and see this later, you can see it exactly where your value is right now. I also mentioned those unsolicited CMAs, but hey, if you're thinking about selling and you're curious about exactly what it would sell for, because I gave you a range of value, just give me a call. It'll take me 5 minutes to walk through the house. I can tell you exactly what it'll sell for right now. This is one of those that if you do this on a consistent basis every 6 months, when the time comes, that listing will be yours. Step 6 is personalized phone calls every 3 to 6 months. Now listen, we can send all the emails we want, we can send all the reports we want, but relationships are formed having conversations. So what I would do is I would encourage you, depending on how long it's been or how hot they are to get it sold in the next year, 6 months, or maybe down the road, and they haven't even indicated they want to or have a time frame. Depending on those factors, that'll determine how often you'll call them. On a consistent basis, I would say if you're doing a video unsolicited CMA every 6 months, pick the off months there and make it where you're calling them every 6 months as well. So maybe it's like in January you're going to do the video unsolicited CMA. In March, April you're going to give them a phone call. Then June, July you're going to actually do another CMA. Then you're going to actually give them a call in the fall. Once you get where you've got a systematic plan of action where it's consistently going out. Now think about this. Now we've gotten to a point where they're receiving updates on information about properties as they come on the market. Now we're at a place where they're receiving your monthly newsletter. Now they're getting a detailed report through Homebot. Now they're getting a personalized report on their value every 6 months. And now they're hearing from you every 6 months. I promise if you do all of these steps, all of a sudden now what happens is not only are they going to be sending people or they're going to be calling you when they're ready to sell, they're going to start sending people your way because you're absolutely top of mind when they hear a friend or a family member talking about the possibility of them selling their home as well. Last but not least, a little gas on this fire, I would suggest doing an ADWERXS Sphere of Influence campaign. Now what this is ADWERXS. Think of ADWERXS this way. That's the company that actually does the following people around on social media, on websites, anywhere they go on the internet, they're going to put your ad on there. What you have the ability to do with a Sphere of Influence campaign is you post an ad and it basically you put the email address in for your client, and then wherever that person goes on the internet, doesn't matter if it's CNN, Fox News, ESPN, Wall Street Journal, wherever it is, your little banner ad with your picture and your information is going to be right there on the side. One of the things that's been really good on this also is kind of just to stay top of mind is to make sure that all of your past clients are in there as well, whether they're buyers or sellers. But specifically for sellers, if we've got all of these things in mind, think about this. It's going to get you for pennies a day in front of them every single day. You're talking about something that really gives you the ability that there's no way that they're not going to remember you when the time comes. So to sum all of this up, think of it this way. If you're at a place where you're consistently adding value to people, if you're everywhere they go online, if you're out there and you're giving them information and value that no one else is giving, ultimately, you're going to be the leader of listings, not only in your office, but in your marketplace. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.